Another great Shannon Elizabeth line. I cracked up every single time I watched this movie, and this line came up. They run over the guy, and they get out of the car, and they're looking
You're
around
gonna
the
say. You're
ground.
gonna say. I already know
She
what it
picks
is.
up the boot, and she says,
Oh my God, we hit a boot!
I don't know why. Every time it got me, and I laughed.
What is happening, Nerd Detectives? Welcome to another episode of Whiskey and a Mystery. How is everybody doing out in podcast land? I hope you're doing great, wonderful, fantastic. Hopefully you're staying cool. It's summertime. It's hot, but hopefully you're having some nice frosty drinks and you're staying real chill and I don't know, just having a good time. Hopefully a lot of positive things are happening for you. Today's episode, I'm very excited for this episode. You guys know I love Scream. I love the Scream series. But sometimes we got to make fun of Scream a little bit. So today on this episode, we're talking all about, obviously, Scary Movie is one of those movies that you'll always remember the first time you watched it. I know I sure do, and I can't wait to share that story. But it is a murder mystery, though. It's goofy, it's funny, there's a lot going on, but it is a murder mystery because throughout the movie, they're making fun of Scream, what the tropes are, who to look out for, and I think still they surprise you at the end, and they give you it's a good twist. And all that to say, any version of Scream, whether it's a comedy or the actual franchise, I can't get enough of. And I'm so happy to dig into this movie. But I can't do it alone. I have to bring on a whiskey guest, a whiskey nerd, a whiskey expert in their own right. But before we do so, that our guests, they have some rules. And what are those rules, you might ask? Rule number 1, they have to pick a whiskey, any kind of whiskey that is $45 or less and is easily findable by people out there. That way you guys can go ahead and buy it and enjoy it with this movie, with this episode. You guys can try it. It's going to be very easily findable. Rule number two, by the end of the episode, they are going to make an expert whiskey pick. Sometimes it's a drink. We've had in the past some guests to pick beer because that's in their wheelhouse. It could be any allocation level, could be anything crazy. Might be expensive sometimes, might be very hard to find, but it is their expert pick for what is going to represent this movie beyond just their normal whiskey pick. I can't wait to get into this. Who is our guest tonight, though? Our guest tonight is actually a personal friend of mine. I love him. I've done a whiskey review with him. Go follow his channel. It's the host of Jim Drinks, Mr. Jim himself. Jim.
What's that?
I think you're waiting for that. That was good.
I practiced a few times while you were doing the intro there.
In the mirror, you woke up this morning and he's just like,
I've been saying it to my kids a lot too, and they just look at me strangely. And
they're like, Dad, just drop us off. Hurry up, get out of here.
Best feeling. Yeah.
Jim, how you doing, my man?
Good, Money. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. If at this point you're not already following Jim, just recently he did drop the video where we are reviewing, was it 20-year hazmat rare character from Avery Ranch Wine and Spirits. That thing was a thing of beauty, my friend. That thing was super good.
It was.
Yeah.
We dug it.
Yeah, go check out that. Go check out that review out there. It's very good. Before we get into your whiskey pick, before we get into this movie, what is your story when it comes to whiskeys and bourbon? How did you get mixed up into this, sometimes wonderful world, sometimes crazy world of whiskey and bourbon? Please tell your story. Take it over.
Yeah, so whiskey for me, I think unlike most bourbon nuts, I started off in Scotch. Actually, I started off yeah, a buddy bought some scotch, and I hadn't really done much with that. Like I'd had some random things here. Like I even, in retrospect, I had a really good bottle of bourbon in college that we got strictly because it was a high proof thing. Like we had Wild Turkey 101 rather. And in hindsight, I'm like, we randomly chose some pretty damn good bourbon by my current taste levels.
Nice.
But I didn't really know, at that point I was drinking it to drink things and not really thinking about what I was doing at all. Fast forward to several years later, buddy buys a bottle of oh boy, what was it? I think it was one of the Highland scotches, one of the more popular, like easy to find ones, that kind of thing. Nothing too crazy. Tried it out and was like, wow, that's really interesting. And ended up kind of deep diving on scotches and bought a number of different things. And from there moved into other kinds of whiskeys. And then here, fast forward it once again. I've had a lot of years of drinking, I will say. This has been a thing I've been doing for a lot of years. Yeah, just here in the past, really, I'd say like 4 months, have I really gone down the rabbit hole of bourbon specifically. And much to the chagrin of my checking account and my wife to some extent, I've amassed a pretty sizable collection of whiskeys for 4 months in. Yeah, enough so that I really kind of changed the focus of my channel from like a more of a cocktail oriented kind of mix of things to really just a heavy focus on bourbon. But I still love cocktails. I still love making those things, and might be seeing some of that tonight. Not to spoil the surprise, but yeah, I think we'll be into fun things here to celebrate this wonderful movie of ours, Scary Movie, that we're going to be talking about.
That's right, man. Scary Movie's so great. What a great story. And I think we've talked about this. We've sort of been collecting at around the same time right now. I know my journey started a little bit late in April, maybe mid to late April. So it's been about 4 months now. About 4 months coming up for your boy. Yeah, at least at the time of this recording. This could come out in October, and people just do the math. I don't know. Just do the math. I'm not, just figure it out. But yeah, we've been collecting about the same time, and I think I have some different things. You have some different things. We've shared some different things. And I think that's really cool. We were not collecting all the same stuff.
Yeah, and well, there's so much out there. It'd be really hard to have just like exactly the same stuff. I mean, I tend to try to go for things that I have heard about or just look interesting, or they're made by the same distiller, or they have some relation to something that I already kind of know about. I do take some random kind of wide swings sometimes, and I think that's one of the fun things about bourbon, about whiskey in general is, like I walk down a whiskey aisle and I want to know what every single one of those things tastes like, and that's not at all scalable. It's not at all like financially
feasible,
responsible, or even like my liver wouldn't hold up to that at all. So so I kind of have to be a little more choosy.
There's only one way to find out if your liver can hold up.
That's fair. We'll get there in time. But yeah, so one of the things I'm working on over on Jim Drinks right now is I'm organizing to begin doing blind tasting across everything that I have that is a bourbon or a rye that is American.
Ooh, okay.
It's gonna be 80 bottles. Because I did. So this is one of the things too. I did catalog everything I have. I'm approaching 100 bottles after 4 months.
Wow.
In my cabinet. Some of those are samples. Some of those are, so they're not all like full on bottles, but it's a lot. It's a lot. Of whiskey.
Yeah.
And but yeah, the double blinds. It's gonna be a double blind, double elimination bracket style shootout for everything I have that's American made. So I'm pretty pumped to dive in that here soon. And so, but that's exactly the reason I know exactly where I'm at with this illness that we have that we share called bourbon hunting. I'm not bad about it. I call it an illness, but in a very loving way.
We've been on hunts together as far as I can tell. Like we've definitely I've seen some things. You've seen some things. I've been there when you spent money. You've been there when I spent money. How about that? That's what I can say. And what better way to bond? Yeah. What better way to bond? But speaking of what better way to bond, whiskey's always a good place to bond, Jim. For tonight's movie, Scary Movie, I brought you on for a reason. You're a whiskey guy. You're a whiskey nerd. You're my whiskey guest. Jim, you know the question that's coming. What is your pick for this movie so we can get to talking about it?
Let's bring her out. So for this movie, I chose what to me is it's a little bit of an oddball, right? Like I know one of the questions that we'll address here is why did I choose this one? So I'll dive into that first because
okay, you dive into that. I'm gonna open this box while you dive into this. Fair.
Here, I'll do my pop now because I'm gonna pour some.
Ooh, that was deep dunk right there.
It's a nearly empty bottle. This specific bottle, I actually bought, I'm pretty sure around 2015. So I've had this bottle for a good solid 10 years. Not the first bottle of Lafroig 10-year that I've purchased, but the first bottle that I did purchase was one of my first purchased bottles of whiskey. This was early into my my love of whiskey and my kind of deep diving on like what this weird brown liquor substance is. And I realized really quickly that Lafroig 10 does some really interesting things that I don't find replicated in even other Islay scotches. It's got a super smoky character to it. It's got a nice bit of sweetness there, but I mean, really, really, truly, it is a peat monster. It is oily. It does all these things that I really like a lot. And when I find a bourbon that does those same things, or even like a little bit of those same things, I'm all over it. Yeah, I'll wait for you to glass up there as well. But right, yeah, the reason I chose this one for Scary Movie, like I said, it's just kind of an oddball. It's definitely not everybody likes an Islay whiskey or an Islay Scotch. They're typically very peaty. They're very smoky. I mean, they can taste like weird shit. They can taste like Band-Aids in doctor's offices and, some of this weird stuff. But it's, for my palate, at least, like I smell those things in here and it's like a warm, boggy hug. I don't know. It's just,
I had this for the first time with previous guests, Eddie and Ryan. We did a little whiskey pairing, food pairing type thing. I had it for the first time there. I enjoyed it, but it's different when you're pairing it with food and you got some other whiskeys a flowing and a going. So tonight, I'm very excited. I got my own bottle of it. Let's cork this bad boy. Let's see what we're doing right here.
Give it to us.
Ooh, nice. Nice little pop right there.
This is a fresh bottle too. That was its first.
That was the first time, yeah, it's ever been opened. All right.
Cherry has been popped.
Ooh, let's cut to a clip. No, let's not do that. Way too early on right now. It's way too early on. All right, let's sniff this bad boy. Oh, yeah. That's definitely a Scotch. Yeah, you definitely get the peat rubber that's on there with the Band-Aid for some people.
It is a super durable rubbery band. Not a rubber. I mean, the rubber band is maybe a good nose note in there too. But I was gonna say like Band-Aids, like rubbery Band-Aids, and
pure rubber.
Mossy bog.
Mossy bog. I don't know what a mossy bog smells like, but I'm gonna trust you on that one.
Get out there and live a little, man. Go find you some mossy bogs to roll around in. And
if there's scotches over there, I'm typically not a Scotch guy, so this is very interesting. But the mossy bog smell like Scotch, I'd probably run the other way.
It's also, right. I'm trying to figure out, like, there is a sweet note there that like I was telling you earlier, like I have a really hard time with the sweet side of things. I do not have a sweet tooth. I don't, if somebody puts a dessert in front of me, I might have a little bit, but my wife loves to bake, for instance, and she'll bake, cookies or pie or whatever it is. I'll have a little bit. And then usually she's just like, eat more. And I'm like, well, I kind of had what I wanted of it. Like,
stop it.
We'll go back to the popcorn now, or the chips. Or
this definitely does have a dry. As it opens up, there's a dry fruit that comes through for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get that. All right. Well, down the hatchet. Cheers to you, sir. Cheers.
Clink.
It's definitely better on the palate. There's like this nice smokiness, like a barbecue charcoal smokiness, like that you would get out of that.
Yes.
That's not the rubber flavor sort of disappears. It's more lighter on the palate.
Rubber's there for me on the finish. I'm with you
right
on everything
there.
else. It's got a saltiness too that I really like. Salty, oily. I mean, the thing that really sealed the deal for me with this Lafroig 10 when I first had it, this was my first experience with a scotch that hours later, after I had finished drinking some, I could still taste it in my mouth. And I was like,
wow.
ooh, that's a fun thing. That's interesting.
Ooh, that's interesting.
That's
much like this movie. You can hours after you watch it the first time.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the other thing I hadn't said yet is like, this for me is like it's really intense. It's packed with a lot of flavor. And like having watched Scary Movie again a number of times here in prep for this, like it amazes me how densely packed with comedy and with jokes, visual gags, one-liners. Like it's almost every minute there's something else happening that's meant to be funny for someone that's paying attention.
The minute you catch your breath with this. Yeah, the minute. Yeah. Let's talk about this. I'm the verdict's still out for this, but it's an interesting scotch. Again, I'm not a scotch guy, but I think if you're into scotches, I got a homie who's into scotch. I think he'll drink that and be like, dude, yep, that all day long. We'll see how I feel by the end of this. It's not horrible, but I will say this. Flavor changes.
It's not your go-to, though.
Not my go-to, but flavor changes when you're eating it with food. I remember eating food with this and being like, this food goes with this cheese, or this food goes with this little pairing that we're doing. Yeah, I think we're maybe salmon or something. I think it was salmon. We did dried thin cut salmon. It went so fantastic with the Lafroig. And I didn't believe Eddie, but he was like, I trust me, my dude. That's what it goes. It does go this goes really well with food on its own. I'm going to need to sit with this a little bit longer, but it is very complex, like this movie. Where do you remember maybe your first time watching this movie, or give me some initial thoughts on this rewatch of this movie?
The rewatch was really interesting for me. I think maybe, so I gotta call out here too early on, like this type of movie, like Scary Movie in particular, I think is a really, really awesome example of like, it's not, the comedies like this don't happen anymore, right?
No.
Like, this is kind of I would like it not to be true, but I think it to some extent is like a dead genre, right? Like it parodies and does a lot of like satire and things like that as well on other existing like slasher movies and that kind of thing. But like, it's a good standalone comedy. Like you don't have to know anything about the other movies to feel like this is doing something for you.
There's some people that watched this before watching Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. And they were like, oh, I just thought this was his own thing. And then I watched those and I'm like, oh, like that made fun. Okay. Now, exactly. So it can be very standalone.
Yeah, and I think it's also like super duper well written. I mean, Wayans brothers, shout out to those dudes for writing some killer scripts back in the day. I was a huge fan of In Living Color when that show was on TV. I mean, that introduced me to Jim Carrey, and he was my comedy god for a little while in those days too. And I mean, still a funny dude, but yeah, I mean, he was something else those days. I mean, he was, speaking of rubber, like he was the rubber band man, essentially. Like he just did things with his body where I was like, how's he doing this weird shit?
When he was the fireman. Yeah, let's cut to a clip of him being the fireman right now.
I caught fire so many times I can't even feel it anymore.
That was good.
Good stuff. Hell yeah.
Fire marshal, that was great.
After I finished rewatching this movie, Scary Movie again today, the Cable Guy was on TV, and so I watched a little bit of the Cable Guy. Oh God, and he was such a convincing, absolute maniac.
Crazy person.
Yes. What was the question?
Initial thoughts, and maybe the first time that you watched it. Do you remember just where you were? Maybe.
I was going to out myself a little bit. I think probably the first time I watched this, I wasn't
of age,
sober. I wasn't sober. I was of age. This came out in 2000. I graduated high school in 99. That dates me a little bit. I'm sorry. But there was a lot of, I think that was the golden age for a lot of things. Like music was pretty killer. Movies were pretty fantastic. Yeah. There was just, there was good stuff to be consumed through your eyeballs and your ear holes. And so I think this was well in that realm of like things that I enjoyed. I say, now that I'm thinking about the years, I'll just simplify and say I don't directly remember under what circumstances I saw this movie originally. I'm pretty sure it was in the theater. I was definitely going to watch movies in the theater in those days compared to these days, which I don't do that very much anymore. But I'm pretty sure I saw it in the theater, and I'm pretty sure I enjoyed it. But I just somehow it wasn't a movie that I really like sought out too much afterwards. But rewatching it, rewatching it really felt to me like I was essentially seeing it all over again. Like I remember
So funny.
The intro to the movie really, really well. I remember like that whole scene, like it's just such a direct ripoff of Scream's intro that it was like, wow, they're just like they're just doing it. They're just copy pasting the thing that Scream did and like adding Carmen Electra instead of Drew Barrymore and like calling her Drew. And so there was something really that stuck with me about that. There's a particular part of that maybe stuck with me in other ways, but like that's, we'll get to that, I guess, as well. But no, rewatching this has been great. I think I've rewatched it now. I think today rewatching again was probably my 4th or 5th time rewatching it since we started talking about doing this. And like even watching it again today, like I didn't fast forward through parts that I felt like I already knew. Like it's a fun movie to watch. There are, I know we'll get to some lows at some point. Like I do have some lows tied up in kind of like the pacing of the movie, and I think that, but they're pretty minor. Like I really had a hard time coming up with lows. I feel like there's so many good scenes, there's so many good jokes. Everybody in this movie is just like
on their A game, I think.
Absolutely on their A game. So yeah, it's been a hell of a fun movie to dive back into and see after so many years of having not seen it.
Yeah, I remember coming back to this recently and watching it. I was like, oh, it has to go on the list. Like it's definitely a murder mystery. And just watching it again and laughing at all the things that I laughed at initially, and I grew up with this movie. Like my dad took me to watch this movie one of the opening weekends. Maybe it was the first weekend. I feel like it was the first weekend on a Saturday evening in the summer of 2000. And I remember some of the jokes. I was 12 years old, and some of them jokes just flying over my head, like when Carmen Electra gets stabbed in the boobs. Like I was like, why is there that thing?
Pause.
Yeah.
You just said you were 12 years old in 2000?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know exactly what our age difference was, but I feel it now.
You could tell me after the show how old you thought I was. But yeah, I was 12 in 2000, and I think I just turned 12. And this came out shortly after that. But yeah, there was some jokes that I definitely missed. Like, again, the Carmen Electra getting stabbed. I didn't know what fake boobs were, I guess, or what it looked like on a knife. I don't really know. When Cindy and Billy Bobby have sex, and like that scene, I didn't understand.
The geyser, yeah.
You didn't understand what was going on there. So yeah, there were just some things that went over my head, but the more and more I watched it, when I graduated with my 8th grade class, I went to a private school. There was only 18 of us, and we would have little parties. Like this was always, if we had a movie style party and not like a dance party, this movie was for sure being played at the movie party because everybody laughed at every single joke. So I grew up, like I have so many fond memories of this movie, and I remember it just so very distinctly. And we'll get into all the actors and everything, but I had so many fond memories where there's things you can't, once you see it, you can't unsee it. You can't forget the things that you saw from this movie, whether for better or for worse.
I think they are designed to not be forgettable. I think intentionally some of the things that happen in this movie, this is one of the things I have to call out as being one of its biggest successes. Is like originally going through and making notes for this movie. Like I had this essentially CVS receipt length list of sight gags. And at some point I was just like, I'm just writing down every single sight gag because I felt like they were all good and they were all like noteworthy for one reason or another. And I was like, I'm not just going to like get on the podcast with money and read through my list of sight gags. Like that's boring. And so I kind of had to reorganize how I was thinking about it. But I mean, there's just so many. And it's just
there's so many. Well, let's get right into it, man. That's my story about this, and I feel great on the initial rewatch of this before I put it on the list. But Jim, you know how this goes, man. Give me some highs from this movie. Give me one of your favorite highs out of this.
First high out of the gate for me has got to be that intro scene. It's such a powerhouse. It really is. And I feel like the thing that this, like, whatever else you remember about the intro scene, whatever else you take away from it, it absolutely 100% asserts itself as being a certain kind of movie.
Yeah.
And it tells you straight off the bat, get ready. Like, it tells you straight off the bat, like, if you can shut your brain off and just have a good time, you will be entertained. You know what I mean? And like, I struggle to think of another movie that has such a strong intro scene. You know what I mean? Like, even Scary, or even Scream, rather, like, basically the same intro sequence,
right?
And it does some of that same, like, setting of the scene and telling a story about, like, what to expect, and kind of setting up the idea of, like, there's a killer and he's hunting teenagers. You don't really understand the motivation and all that, but like, the thing that I think Scary Movie does that's so much more impactful is it's a comedy. Like, it's not mincing any words out of the gate about the fact that this is a comedy first and foremost. You know what I mean? And so, so that really for me is highlight number one.
Them little kids get beat the shit at the doorway.
Yeah, straight away. Like, the doorbell, even watching it again today, I forgot that happens. The doorbell rings and I'm like, what? And she opens the door and goes to town on those kids with a baseball bat. And then the baseball bat's gone. Like, the next thing she does is she chooses a banana off of a table with all these other viable weapons.
The grenade and a gun and a knife and shit.
And I'm like, bitch, you just had a baseball bat in your hands. Like, how could you go so wrong? And I love that. Like, that's one of my favorite things in comedies in general, is like satire. And like, it drives me up the wall when a show that I respect otherwise writes some scene in a way that doesn't make sense to be from a motivational standpoint, where like the characters involved are making decisions that you're immediately like, that's a stupid ass decision, right? Like, if I'm watching something and I feel like that was a stupid ass decision, the obvious thing would have been X, and it would have put you in a much better position. And they're like red flagging that stuff straight away. And I, because like, it's like, here's the table, here's all the weapons, banana, okay, fine. And then the next thing up is the two signs, and one says safety and one says death, and she immediately runs towards death. And it's just like, got it. Like, it's, it's just,
this is what we're watching. This is what we're doing.
It's not pulling any punches, and it's just, yeah. And then, I mean, a funny little side note, like, there's so many details in this movie. Like, the details in this movie are incredible. As she's running off, it cuts to another angle, and you can still see the signs off in the background. It's just like, the suggestion in my head is like, they just had these signs in their backyard for some reason. Like, they're just there, and
the absurdity is real. Like, it's grounded in reality. Absolutely. The absurdity is grounded in reality, and you're like, but why? But why is it there?
Absurdity is a great word. It's a word for some reason I could not think of when I was making my notes, but it was one I was trying to think of. And like, that is another connecting thread between the Lafroig 10 and Scary Movie. Like, there's
absurd.
An absurd
this whiskey is absurd. I will tell you that for sure. I don't know if it's going on me or my tongue's going numb, but it
could be both. It could be a little
all
both.
Right,
I mean, it's not crazy high proof. I like a proofy thing these days, but this is 43%. It's not nothing. It's not anything too wild. I'm not going to be offended if you want to add some water or an ice cube or whatever. I don't know how much that stuff's going to help necessarily, but
no, we're going straight. We go straight with this. We go straight with this until I have a verdict. But yeah, I think that's a strong high. One of my highs is definitely the cast of this movie, dude. You have, Absolutely. And I love this. I think I say this all the time about a good murder mystery. When you have the rookie cards of people in a movie, you love to see, you love to revisit it and say like, oh, that person was in there, and oh, that person was in there. I mean, obviously, I think Sean and Marlon Wayans had sort of, done some work with their brother. Obviously in Don't Be a Menace to South Central or Drinking Your Juice in the Hood. Like, that is just a classic hood movie. Like, in the best of ways. It's hilarious. So they're no strangers. These guys are no strangers to acting. But this movie, I mean, I think because of this, that you have the success of doing something like White Girls or White Chicks, right? And Lil Man and Scary Movie 2. Like, these two together, they're hilarious on screen. It has Shannon Elizabeth, riding the high of American Pie at the time. Like, great.
She's great in this. I really feel like she has some really like powerhouse scenes in this movie, and it really. I remember we rewatching it again, and what is it? It's the scene in the pageant, and she's supposed to do the dramatic reading or whatever, and like I would love to see the reality where she just does the dramatic reading and it's just garbage. Like I feel like that's a possibility, but instead she's like watching her boyfriend get like fucking torn to pieces on the balcony,
and she wins. She wins.
Yeah, and she knocked it out of the park. Yeah,
it's so real. Yeah, it's oh my god, it's so real. But Regina Hall, the rookie card of her in this movie, the rookie card of Anna Faris in this movie, like those two in by themselves. I mean, the amount of things that Anna Faris has done, the amount of things that Regina Hall has done, like. I mean, let me just go through this real quick. Like Girls Trip, I Think Like a Man. Wow, that was good. Think Like a Man too. I don't
know those.
Oh, Malibu's Most Wanted. Jeez, I forgot about that. Death at a Funeral, First Sunday. She's got like just so many movies in just on her record. After this movie, though, so again, I love movies like this where you're catching people, you catch the rookie card of the people, and then you look back and you're like, that's where they started off from. Like,
right?
Whoa, that's wild. Like
I always wonder too. I mean, you mentioned like Shannon Elizabeth, for instance, like because I think everybody else you mentioned there is like this is a legit rookie card for them. But I do think Shannon Elizabeth had already done American Pie at this point, right?
She did. So, American Pie was already out.
Yeah. So it does like I always wonder, well, how did, timing wise, as far as the production of these things, you know what I mean? Like, did she?
So if it came out in 2000, so like American Pie, I think came out in 98, if I remember correctly. We can look at this up real quick. American Pie came out in 99. Scary Movie 2000. American Pie 2, 2001, 13 Ghosts, 2001, Jay and Silent Bob, 2001, American Pie Reunion, obviously 2012. Here's another 2001, Tomcats. I remember that movie, 2001. So like this was literally right after American Pie. She shoots Scary Movie and then goes on to film the rest of the movies.
It's conceivable that she had booked Scary Movie before American Pie hit it big.
Right.
So that's what I always want. You know what I mean? It's like the timing of like,
or was filming it as American. Yeah, it was filming it as American Pie got released. Totally. She's filming this movie. Not really. I don't think anybody ever even knew. I don't think anybody on the cast knew how big American Pie was going to be and how influential on that whole teenage, college sort of like culture.
Because it does seem like had they had that what's the word precognition around American Pie, like that totally seems like exactly the kind of movie that would have been parodied in this movie had they been able to do that, right? Like
had they known how big it was going to be.
Because they already they fire a bunch of shots off at obviously like Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. But then also like Dawson's Creek and Gilmore and all these.
And it's so funny. So American Pie gets big, and then they make fun of it in Not Another Teen Movie, right? So that has again a good rookie card in there. Jamie King and Chris Evans is in there. Like that's I mean, that's a wild cast right there for sure. So
I have not seen that one in quite some time. So
you should. I think we just revisit. I think one night we just get drunk. And we revisit Not Another Teen Movie, and we just have us a good time. We could do it on the Jim Jigs channel. Yeah, I think that'd be fun content. That'd be fun content. But yeah, I think to have the cast the way that it is, that for me is always a standout. And the guy that plays, I think his name is it Craig? Greg. His name is Lachlan Monroe. Lachlan Monroe's in so much stuff. I was just watching for some random reason, not at the Roxbury. And I'm like, oh, that's right. Lachlan Monroe's in this movie too. Like he's just in he's just in a lot of like, he's in White Chicks as well. I think he's friends with the Wayans. He's in White Chicks. He plays one of the FBI agents that's like tracking the brothers, throughout the movie. But yeah, they put him in a lot of stuff, so it's just real cool.
He definitely. I mean, I almost had him on my list of standouts as well, because I do think he does, like, he sells it. He sells it really well.
Oh yeah.
In this movie. He also is he related to oh crap, I just went blank on the name. Busey. Is he Busey in any way? Because he just has
that look.
Some of the Busey facial structure
attributes. No, he's from Canada.
And I didn't. Okay, yeah, weird. He just got some of those same.
Yeah, no, he's from Canada. Yeah.
He does. I mean, it's not a part of my highlights, and I hope I'm not stepping on him on it if it's one of yours.
No, you're good. Go for another high. Go for it.
For him in particular, the running gag of, like, every time Cindy brings up the person they killed, he, like, chokes her and punches her, and he's like stepping on her chest and all this, and then eventually Bobby speaks up and is like, "Hey, dude, I think you're hurting her." It's just like,
and he just like beats a running the gag shit out of her. I've talked about this. I talked about this with I know what you did last summer, like that running gag of, like, in the movie, Ryan Felipe's character is like, we take this to our grave, right? Like, that's the big thing. Right. We take this to our grave. And he, like, gets all up in Julie's and he fucking chokes Julie James. And you're like, bro, like, calm the fuck down. The fact that they took that and amplified it in this movie, and he fucking, like, beats the shit and fucking throws the people's elbow on her and shit like that. And you're like, bro, not necessary at all.
No. And then I guess probably everybody does this too. And I know what you did last summer when it happens. It's like everybody else just kind of, like, stands around and lets it happen.
Okay, so I'm so glad that you said that. So I did an episode of Does It Hold Up with shout out to the Drunk Banthas, who are also contributing members on Nerds at Night. We did an episode of Does It Hold Up for I Know What You Did Last Summer. And I said this, and I'll say this on here. That shit don't fly with minorities. I know if that's a Mexican fella's girlfriend and you put hands on her, right, bro, you getting some hands on you, right? We fighting. We are fighting. Right. We're throwing hands. You don't be touching my girlfriend like that, bro. Like, that's my lady, She buys me Starbucks. You can't be doing that.
No, white people are too used to just
laying hands on each other. Yeah.
Just waiting to see what happens, well, yeah, maybe he kills her. I don't know. Let's find out. That's just, I don't know. Well, there's also the other funny thing that happens in that what do you want to call that moment, that repeated moment that happens throughout is it's the first time. It's like during that flashback where they're doing the whole I Know What You Did Last Summer, we hit a guy thing. It's at the end of that, they're, like, dropping him in the river, and what's his name, Craig. He says something to the effect of, like, "We don't speak of this ever again." And you got it, Sydney. And then, like, he immediately says something about it again. And she's like, "Wait, you said we don't speak about it."
And like, you just said it, Greg. And he's like, "Now." Exactly. Let's get to a clip of that right now.
And we never mention this again.
Mention what?
The guy we just killed.
Well, you just mentioned it, Greg.
It read to me as very like this is like some, like, straight up Laurel and Hardy shit where they're just like, you know what I mean? It's like, it's
Abbott Costello bullshit. Yeah, it's some exactly. Abbott Costello shit right there.
Exactly. It's like this type of this brand of comedy does not happen anymore, and it's a damn shame.
Yeah, but it's funny because it works in that scene, especially to break the tension of, like, you're like, oh, I know what it is, but she don't know what it is. Like, she's dumb. He's dumb. Right. Everybody's dumb. Obviously,
everybody in this movie is dumb as hell.
Dumbass so is great. On Craig's report card, bro. Like, at least he got 1A.
Yeah. Yep. That's right. Look, you got 1A. Yeah, good. That's a good line. She had a lot of good lines. There's a lot of good lines in this movie. She had some of the best ones, I think. And actually, I'll segue that into my next high, which is that flashback scene. Like, it's just such a direct copy paste once again from I Know What You Did Last Summer. But it sets up this whole subplot in the movie that, like, is a through line. Like, it works really well within the script. It also is your first kind of opportunity to really see the cast flex. Like, I think this is their first opportunity to kind of just be this like everybody in the cast, just about everybody in the cast. I will. There's a faint asterisk on that. Just about everybody in the cast is, like, capable and regularly does, like, this, like, way over the top version of any normal person. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're clearly like characterizing a certain kind of person that happens in these kinds of movies.
They're stereotyping an archetype of like, okay, well, this is the jock, this is the hot girl, this is the friend, this is this other guy. You say all that, and then Ray is this in between of like, oh, you know, he's the silly guy, but also like this running gag of like all this particularly like gay stuff, and then all at the end to be like, I'm gay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's so much. I mean, what's funny too is like that's almost its own murder mystery. Because if you go back and watch the movie, every time he does stuff like that, it's just like, what is that? Like, is it? Did that happen in my head? And they're just, you know what I mean? Where it's just like, oh, they're playing.
The characters. It's so funny because he does it. The audience is like, that's a little sus, bro. But and then the rest of the crew is like, that's what. It's just Ray.
Right.
It's just Ray.
The first time it happens, he puts on that yellow shirt and he's like, hey, does this shirt make me look gay? And Craig's like, no, I don't think so. And so he like does the bottom up the thing. Like, what about now? And he goes, no, you're good. And then it cuts back to him and he's putting on a black shirt. It's just like, you didn't want to wear that? Like you just went through this whole thing and then you decided, nah, I'm just gonna wear a black shirt. Like clearly, he's just into fashion. He just likes playing with his look. That's nothing.
The finger in the butthole, the playing,
there's like raining men. There's this noise. When
that literally happens. That literally happens in the movie.
In that scene, in that I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Let's cut to a clip.
Ray! Oh, my bad.
And another great Shannon Elizabeth line I cracked up every single time I watched this movie, and this line came up. They run over the guy, and they get out of the car, and they're looking around the ground.
You're going to say, I already know what it is.
She picks up the boot, and she says,
oh my God, we hit a boot!
I don't know why. Every time it got me, and I laughed.
It's her demeanor in that scene. Like she's grabbing it she's clenching it so hard. Like, oh my God, guys.
Genuine. Yeah. And there's like clearly blood on it. And it's, and then they look around, there's like, oh no, there's a person there. And whoops. Okay. But yeah, it's just that scene, it sticks out to me as another one of those just like powerhouse scenes where it's just like, we're not letting off the gas. And I especially like this last watch through again today, I really expected 3/4 of the way in, like the speed to shift a little bit, and it kind of doesn't. Like there's momentary, you know what I mean? It's just like if you're driving a normal streetcar down the road, like, maybe you're between 35 and 45, 50 miles an hour. If you're in Austin, 45 and 65 miles an hour riding down the road. If you're driving a race car, like your speeds are way higher. And I would say as a comedy and just as a movie in general, like this movie operates much more on race car speeds at all times, where it's just it does
do little dippies, and we'll get to that maybe in those, but like it does do little dippies. But I think for me, that's one of my highs is the fact of it's a parody movie. It does these parody side quests throughout the movie, right? The what's that? Like the fucking Blair Witch bullshit, and like this little side quests that they got to go to the movies so Brenda can die and fucking homie can get stabbed in the ear with a penis, like all these little crazy. It goes on all these little side quests that like you're like, I mean, they have to do that, but I'm so glad that they did. This is very funny. Absolutely. And especially at the time to make fun of a Blair Witch Project or the What's Up, the Bud Light commercial at the time, right? Like it was just so on brand to make sure that you have those things input into the movie. They did it so much in Don't Be a Menace, and it worked in that type of movie, but I think in this movie they tightened up the gears a little bit to make the movie and the plot actually shine through. And sometimes when you divert, it doesn't completely take away. It's not just like, oh, that was just a silly little, Living Color Saturday Night Live bit, Mad TV bit. Like, well, what's up with the movie?
Right. That stuff can feel like an unnecessary divergence sometimes.
Right.
I think is what you're saying. And I agree. I think in this movie, those are far and few between. I think they do happen occasionally, and even in this movie, but the vast majority of their gags, the vast majority of their, their little parody or sometimes satire and sometimes lampoon. Like I had to look up the difference between these things because I would watch something and be like, that's nice. Is that parody? So I got into real like splitting hairs
minutia, yeah.
Where I'm like, no, I think they lampooned that thing in that instance, and this time this was satire, and this other time it's parody. And I love it. I'm just like, hell yeah, this is exactly the kind of movie I enjoy.
I mean, I remember laughing so much the first time that I watched this movie, like all the time, but also too because I knew the references of Scream. I was like, oh, that's the scene in Scream 2. That's a scene in Scream 1. That's I Know What You Did Last Summer. Like, oh, I know all these bits. I had seen everything except for, and I'll go to another high real quick, the end of the movie. Did you guess it was fucking Dewey the first time that you watched it? Because I don't know if anybody did. They end it like The Usual Suspects, a movie I hadn't seen. So when I watched The Usual Suspects for the first time, and I see that same where they're following Kaiser Soze's feet, Kevin Spacey's feet, and then he corrects his feet, and he's no longer walking with the limp, and then you're like, no,
no, I didn't see it coming. I mean, I think on my first rewatch through of this movie, I just inherently felt like I had to take track of who the potential suspects are. As a way to start the process of figuring out where are they dropping hints, who are they pointing at, and all these kinds of things. And Doofy was certainly on my list, but I had completely forgotten, and I'm so glad that I did, that turn happens, and I love that moment. It's one of my highs as well. I have it down here as Doofy Kaiser Soze's the ending. Like, that's exactly what he does. Kaiser Soze is the fucking ending of the movie. And by the way, going back to my previous high to tie it into it, that also fully confirms that whole subplot of parodying I Know What You Did Last Summer, and there's a guy that we hit with our car a year ago. It doesn't mean anything to the plot of the movie. It never has a payoff other than the joke of the sheriff, who's an awesome character actor on his own. He's been in a bunch of other stuff. I'll find him in my notes and all this. He's great. But he mentioned something about oh yeah, they found him in the river 2 weeks after you guys killed him or whatever. And it's just oh, so that box is just checked and then a line through it. That doesn't mean anything.
Well, the only reason it's there is for the killer to reference it as he's trying to hunt these folks down, to call Sydney, to tease her, to write the note, I know what you did last Halloween.
To twist the knife.
That's the only reason. That's it.
Absolutely. Well, and also for the obvious reason of making fun of that movie, parodying that movie, and
absolutely,
an element of. But yeah, I mean that is, I love that ending. Usual Suspects, I mean, especially after watching this again, is my favorite movie that I've never seen.
Wow, you haven't seen it?
I've not seen it in its entirety. I know enough about what has happened in doing research for this movie, and yeah, no, it was one that I completely missed out on back in those days, and even years later, it's
you're 100 years old, Jim. You should have watched this movie already.
I've got the time. I'm never gonna die, so it's fine. I can go back to it eventually.
All right, that's fair.
But I just gotta find a VHS player somewhere at some point. I don't know.
Somebody hit the comments.
Side quest.
Yeah, somebody hit the comments. Get him a VCR. That for me though is a big high. The ending is such a big high. Jim, we've been hyping up this movie. Give me some lows about this movie, if you've got some lows about this movie.
I do have some lows. Yeah.
Okay. Friends in low places lows. I want some lows.
I do. I made a reference to it early on. That whole what's up scene. I'm kidding. I really like that scene. I thought it was funny. I just wanted to pad my numbers for lows because I didn't have many. I genuinely didn't have a ton of things that I felt like I could really call out as in terms of scenes, right? There are not many scenes in this movie that I felt fell short of one success or another. For instance, part of what I'm calling out about this scene is on the wall in the background. It's not super heavily focused on in that scene, but in the wall in Miss Mann's office.
Oh, okay.
No, that's in the scene after. But in the wall in Miss Mann's office, there's a bunch of rubber bound hands.
Oh yeah, I saw that. It was so weird.
They seem to suggest like ways to tie people up, and I'm just like, that's where my brain went like, oh, is this kind of a weird, maybe not successful attempt at misdirection? Are we supposed to think that maybe Miss Man is the killer? And then and eventually I was just like, I don't think that's it. But but it was like, it was like the level of immersion that I had in that scene was lessened to a certain degree, and so
yeah.
That's what I'm calling out there. But I think there's still a ton about it, the way that it fits in the overall movie, and there's still a bunch of like good lines that are delivered in that scene and everything. So it was one of the lows that I was able to like scratch out of the overall, like, I think pretty stellar movie.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
What about you?
It's tough, man, because I think some of the lows in here, like, I'm like, oh, well, that was stupid, but it's like, obviously that was intentional, right? It's intentional to be that stupid. Like the amount of stupid that Cindy is so fucking stupid. Like she's just stupid.
Yeah.
There's no rhyme or reason for why she's so stupid, but she's so stupid. It's sort of annoying until you get to the end of the movie and you're like, oh, you're just meant to be stupid. Like that's what it is, Yeah. And it has to work that way. Otherwise, if you're any smarter, like you're not going to have sex with your boyfriend. The killer who as he's calling right now and he's in the scene, she's like, you're behind the couch. Like, okay, like you're at least smart enough to do that, But it's just the amount of stupid that Cindy is sometimes is a bit like, oh my God, like stop it.
Yeah.
It's a little annoying, but that thing again, it's a low in the moment at certain points, but like it's a high by the end of the movie. You're like, well, you couldn't have been any smarter, because if you were, the movie would have ended 45 minutes ago. Like we couldn't even have the movie.
Yeah, I mean there's a scene early on. I think it's the scene where Craig gets gutted in the pageant scene. They're literally standing in the hallway talking, and the killer is in the back.
He's behind him, sweeping it, whopping it up,
like, and like pulling the plastic bag with Craig's leg hanging out of it. And they're just like, they're so inept. They're so not honed in on like this, what
it
would
is.
Be
it is kind of
else.
all the characters, but I think it stands out with Sydney.
Yes. And I think you're right. I think I have to agree. I think it's that you're calling it out. It does come to mind. Yeah. Like, oh yeah, she is pretty like,
fucking
she is
idiot.
exceptionally like empty-headed with all this stuff, right? Where it's like, clearly the killer is going to come after you directly at some point, and then they do, and she manages to escape, and then he comes after her again, and yet again she manages to there's that mush mouth thing I was
there it is.
about.
Yeah,
she manages to escape twice, and it's like some of her friends were, I would say, arguably quite a bit smarter than she was, and they did not make it through their first encounter with this guy. And yeah, like I think Anna Faris does a fantastic job in this movie. Like she's so convincing as this empty-headed, like innocent, wants to do good kind of a teen. But yeah, I think you're right. I think maybe there's just something about the way her character was written that was like a little bit more like she kind of has to be an empty-headed idiot in order for
this movie to work,
to sell. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
for it to be believable to any degree.
Yeah, no,
right.
That's one of my lows every time I watch it. But it works in certain scenes, like when she's in the cop's office, and clearly he's trying to. He's giving her pictures of a cut to a clip right now.
No, I'm sorry, Sheriff.
But he's giving her pictures, and he's in lingerie, and she's like, "No, I didn't. No."
No, I love that gag. I love that gag because he's like, I want to show you some pictures, and I just want you to tell me what you think. You know what I mean? He asks her to do exactly what she does, and then he shows her pictures. Like, it's such a good gag. I think of all the other cop movies, like Dragnet was a cop movie that I was really into as a kid, and I don't know if there's a scene exactly. I mean, there's certainly not a scene exactly like that. There's no cops are shown in lingerie in that movie, as far as I recall. It's like it's a normal trope, and that's one of the things. And that I think I think that's one of those scenes that technically classifies maybe as a lampoon. I think this is a lampoon on a common trope in cop movies where they're just like, I'm going to show you some pictures of a thing, and you just need to tell me, maybe is this the guy? Maybe it's not the guy. Maybe this is, is this your bedroom or whatever? And instead, it's just like, here's some scantily clad pictures of the sheriff. And
let's go to a clip of the sheriff real quick.
Check that one out again. No. All right. Well, worth a shot.
Yeah, and her reaction is so endearing. She's just like, no. And then
he was like, there's one last one, just in case.
Exactly.
And she's just like,
exactly.
No, not any. Because she's so stupid that she doesn't say like, what is this? And what are you doing? It's because she's so stupid. That scene, you're like, yeah, no, that's how you should keep it, baby. That's how you should.
And see, that's where again, going back to that intro scene, like they set out to tell you, shut your brain off. Don't think about this stuff too deeply. Just fucking sit back and enjoy, and you'll have a laugh. But then also they did the, even the, and maybe this is a low, like for being such a brain off movie. There's so many little elements, there's so many little details, there's so many things that happen in the movie where if your brain is on and you're watching this movie from this perspective of like trying to understand who done it and trying to understand all these other little intricate details, there's so much there. Like there's a ton of little details here that happen in this movie that I find truly, really enjoyable. And I'm not typically the guy that goes for like, ooh, I want to watch this movie because it has a bunch of Easter eggs in it. Like that's not really my jam usually. But I think this movie, because it sells itself as a movie that isn't about Easter eggs, it's about punchlines. That's what the Easter eggs are. It's like there's 10,000 punchlines in this movie if you look for them. Kurt Fuller. I had to go back to my notes and look at his name. Sheriff Burke is Kurt Fuller. He was also the mayor's right-hand man in Ghostbusters. He was also the TV exec in Wayne's World. He's awesome. He plays an asshole always, except for this movie. He's not an asshole. He's just the numbnut sheriff. Yet another hapless dude tied up in this mess of ghastly killings. The other, I did have one other low, which is kind of an oddball low, but I mean, I feel like that's part of what I've established that I'm going to do here today. There's an other scary movie that was released in 1991. Do you know about this?
Yeah, they had to borrow the name from it, didn't they, or something?
No,
that was Scream. That was Scream.
Yeah, Scream was originally the script for Scream was originally called Scary Movie. It later changed.
No, there was another movie called Scream. I think in like the 80s, they had to like be like, "Hey, can we borrow that name?" And they're like, "Yeah, okay."
I didn't know that. In 1991, a movie was released. It was directed by Daniel Erickson.
Okay,
he's directed other things that you will be familiar with. But this movie was called Scary Movie. It was 1991. Daniel Erickson is an Austin-based filmmaker. This movie was shot and filmed in Austin, Texas. It's about a paranoid guy lost in what is absolutely the most elaborate, like Halloween funhouse, or like what do you call it? A haunted house.
A haunted house
in existence. It's a haunted house. He's lost in it. But this guy's like borderline nut job, paranoid, like just scared of everything. And the idea is like the setup is like there's a mental institute escapee lost, and they think maybe he got his way into this haunted house. Wow. And so this guy, the scared guy, Warren, he goes through this whole haunted house thinking everybody he runs into basically is the killer. He cuts off a dude's hand. He clocks the guy in the head with a chainsaw that doesn't work. He shoots a guy in the chest with a gun that he gets off the guy that he clocks in the head. It gets to the end of the movie. You find out not only was the mental institution escapee nowhere near the haunted house, but like the people that this guy's been like maiming and killing are like the sheriff and one of the other workers in the haunted house. It's this weird thing. It's not a good movie. I'm to be clear. This is why this is a low. This is not a good movie. Like if you had seen this movie and then thought when Scary Movie in 2000 comes out, oh, another movie called Scary Movie, it's probably not going to be good. You'd be wrong. So that's why I put it in here as a low. Like it was funny to me that there was another movie that came out that was called Scary Movie. It was made in Austin. It's a bad movie. Don't go see it. But
that's interesting.
But it does exist. And I thought
That's interesting. Yeah, it has nothing to do with this fucking movie besides the name. Which again, the famous thing is, to your point, right? Like that was the original title of Scream was Scary Movie. Yeah. So and that's why they chose it, because they were like, well, they got rid of it, but this could be good. I think one of my lows is the guy that played Bobby. I don't always believe him all the time. I'm like, you're a little goofy sometimes, bro.
Yeah,
like
I had him on my list as well, unfortunately. I agree.
Just a little too goofy.
A little too goofy, a little too thin, a little too not as handsome as he ought to be for being the role that he's in. I honestly, I feel like so much of it, like I think he does a fine job on its own, but I think his greatest sin is that he's surrounded by people who are acting to the back row all the time and are over the top and are delivering some incredible lines.
Yeah.
And like doing it with a bunch of gusto. And he just doesn't do that. He doesn't bring the same level of vim and vigor to the table as his counterparts do. And I think that's where he reads flat, in my view. Like
I mean, the one bit that I remember was where he's like, okay, goodbye, Aunt Jim, Slim Jim, Big Jim. Like when he's leaving his trailer park house, you know, like that's a funny bit, you know, like that. I'll cut to a clip right now.
See you later, Auntie Mama, Bubba, Jim, Big Jim, Little Jim, Slim Jim, everybody.
But like that whole bit, it's funny. It is funny because you're like, oh, that's ridiculous. Like that's not a thing. And then he lives like 2 feet away from school in a trailer, right next to.
And they just talked about, the scene right before that. They're like, I don't get it. He lives so close. Why is he always late?
Why is he always late?
And he's literally in the front yard of the school. Yeah. I mean, I thought that was a pretty good, I think, for sure. I was expecting more from his character.
Yeah, that's it right there.
In terms of like, give me big, give me, you know what I mean? Like
it feels like he came in to be like, oh, all I need to do is what Skeet Ulrich did. And you're like, yeah, but also you gotta mix it up too, like put some pizzazz in there as well. Like can't be.
But like Ulrich, my memory, I haven't seen Scream in a long time. I mean,
it's a good movie to watch regularly. I recommend that.
Like, I remember Ulrich as being like really like a really dark, mysterious form of handsome, right? Like he's a brooding kind of character from the get-go. But he's not like raising a flag and saying like, hey, I'm up to no good. He's just like, he's got this kind of like, you know, I'm a cool guy and I'm not gonna, this is not what he sounds like.
That's what he sounds like. No, that's a good impersonation right there.
It's a Skeet Ulrich. Gonna add that to my repertoire. Skeet Ulrich impersonation. But yeah, John Abrams as Bobby, he doesn't do any of that. Like he kind of just reads to me as like kind of generic white guy lead adjacent. You know what I mean?
Lead like adjacent is a good position right there.
Unfortunately, I feel bad. Like I try to look up other movies. Like he's been around. He's done a lot of stuff.
He was in Meet the Parents. He played the brother of Homegirl, and he was like smoking weed and like blames it on Gaylord Fokker. I remember that. I remember him being in there. He was like, "That's not a smoking device. That's a whatever." Or whatever he says in that movie with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro's like, "You're bad guy. You smoke weed. Not good guy." You know, or whatever he does. You know, in that movie. You know what I'm talking about.
An awful lot like Trump in this.
What a great actor, Robert De Niro. What a good guy. What a man.
He's a bad guy.
We would call him a good. Some people would say good fellow. I would say he's a good fellow. What a good guy. Why'd you make me do that, Jim? You know,
I didn't. I don't think that I made you do anything.
You made me do that. You made me bust out the old Trumpy poo.
You made me do it.
This guy made me. He told me.
I didn't want to. Told me. Get off your keister and do it.
Let's cut to a clip of the movie right now.
Slow down. Blow me. All right.
I don't know what clip it was.
Yeah. I really hope, I sincerely hope it was Trump just narrowly avoiding getting headbutted in the groin by Kevin McAllister in Home Alone 2.
I think we just got to a clip of this movie. We can cut to that clip right now. Let's cut to a clip of Home Alone 2.
Excuse me, where's the lobby? Down the hall and to the left.
Thanks.
Almost got him. He almost got him. His voice would have been much higher had he been headbutted in the groin. Would have been
what a little big man. What a little big man. He's kind of a big man, but he's kind of
I'm
little.
the president now.
Where is his parents? What's he doing in my hotel? Not a safe place for kids. Not a good place. Let's do this. All right. We're doing highs. We're doing lows. Anything else we should touch on, right? Any other highs, lows, anything else from your perspective that we should touch on, Jim?
Yeah, so I know typically we go to MVP a little later, but I've got a little bit of a curveball. It's a little bit of a hodgepodge of things.
Okay.
So I've got, it's at the same time that it's a high, it also leads into my MVP. It's a theory. It's a conspiracy theory, essentially, about the plot of this movie. Some unmoved rocks, if you will.
Ooh.
Some unpeeled veneers.
Ooh.
But I think to get there, I have to also get into what is effectively my expert pick. It is not a high-priced whiskey. It is not a hard-to-find thing. It is, in fact, a cocktail. And the reveal of the name of this cocktail will coincide with my MVP. It's all interconnected. The synergy is
a lot of
emulsifying
synergy.
And the somogrification.
Have you worked in tech before? Because they use that word a lot.
Yes, they do. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. Unfortunately, we're using it for comedic purposes today, though. God damn it.
What do we got, and what do I need to go grab? Because I'm going to need to step away if I need a cup and ice and stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna bend down here and get out of my fridge. I'm gonna get my cup with my ice cube. You're gonna need a few things for this, right? So I'm not gonna tell you the name of the cocktail, but we will get there. You're gonna need a wheated bourbon, ideally a spicy one, right? Like Weller Special Reserve wheated bourbon. Pretty
I've
delicate,
got Weller.
right?
Do you want my Weller? Do you want me to have? I have Redemption.
I think if you've got the Redemption, I think the Redemption's a good choice. Makers is also a good choice. If you want to put up some Old Fitz 7, that's a pretty damn good choice too.
I could do the Old
I would
Fitz
go with.
7.
I mean, I'm gonna. Do you want to do? You know, I mean, do you want to fancy it up a little bit? We can go.
What were you gonna pull? What were you gonna pull? Wait, what were you
gonna pull? The Redemption. I was gonna pull Redemption, but I mean, in terms of wheated bourbons, I think I
have enough for a drinky right there.
You got 2 ounces in there.
We're gonna find out. I need to get a jigger to find this out.
Yeah, so we'll need 2 ounces of the wheated bourbon. We're gonna need some orange bitters. You're gonna need a 1/4 ounce of orange curacao.
Okay. Here, let me go grab my ice and my cup, and then we'll do the mixing. Let's put on a clip right now. Let's cut to a clip. You guys won't even notice the difference. We'll be right back.
They're calling your name. Go! Buffy, what happened? What about Greg? Oh, fuck Greg! I won! Congratulations! Out of my way, loser!
We are back, and you didn't even notice the difference. Okay, so I now have my ice. I now have an ice cube. We've got the orange bitters.
Yep.
All right. You tell me where to start.
Start with the orange bitters. We're going to do 3 dashes of the orange bitters.
1.
I like to go into my French accent when I'm pouring the bitters. It's just how I do. You're not
I think four drops have dripped. Is that okay?
Did you do drops or did you do like dash?
All right. I did 2 dashes. There you go.
You're good.
Another dash. All right.
You did 2 dashes and some drips. I think you're in good shape there. Next, we'll move into the curacao. You're going to do a 1/4 ounce of this.
All right. I got this bad boy. This is fresh.
Nice. This is good stuff too.
What do we want here?
You want a 1/4 ounce. Does your jigger do 1/4 ounces or does it bigger?
I have one that has 1.5 and 1. So I'm going to have to
1. So yeah, just eyeball it. Do about obviously a 1/4 of that 1 ounce side. Get as close as you can. I would err to the side of lower.
Okay.
If possible.
That's fair.
Because this is going to be, you want balance in this cocktail here, and you'll see where we go here in a little bit.
There it is.
So I will say, as I'm doing this is an adaptation of a cocktail from a now defunct, unfortunately, bar called Milk and Honey out of New York City. This is an adaptation of a drink that they created called a Segue. It was originally made with tequila, reposado tequila, instead of the wheated bourbon. I moved over to wheated bourbon because I felt like it was more kind of in the spirit of what I was doing here. It's also, much as you get with Scary Movie and things like it, it's a nice twist.
I like that.
So next we're going to go up here to our nice, lovely Old Fitz 7. We're going to do 2 whole ounces of this.
Okay.
So this is really going to be our backbone of the cocktail. Right in the glass there. Glug, glug.
There's one. And yeah, there's some spilled. There you go. Okay.
So you got that all set up there. Next up, you're going to want your cube. If you've got a big cube, great.
It's
if you've
in
got
there
a
already.
bunch of little cubes, okay, that's fine. So then you're
Very
going to
much
use your
in
bar
there.
spoon.
Uh-huh.
Got me a big old cube here, and I'm going to drop it in there carefully. We're going to give it some, let's say just, mix this around for a good 20-second count.
Yeah, you tell me when to stop. I'm just stirring.
I mean, I like to keep a finger on the bottom of the glass, and when you feel like that bottom of the glass is actually starting to get cold, you're pretty good. Because you don't want to over dilute it. You want enough there that it's...
Jim, I'm going to be honest with you. That sounds sexual.
Which part?
All right. Let's cut to a clip of the sex scene from Scary Movie.
That's right. The geyser. It's pretty funny. That seems hilarious. I have to call out while we're doing this. One of my other highlights that I didn't call out yet is the dick through the head. It's just how often do you get to watch a movie and you see someone impaled through the skull or anywhere else, but like impaled through the skull by
a penis. By a penis.
Yeah. I had forgotten entirely that happens in this movie, and seeing it again and seeing that was,
and it happened to Ray of all characters. So
okay, Ray, and also in your rewatch of this movie, did you see that happen and think, oh, Ray's dead? Because why wouldn't you? He got a dick through the head. Like if it was a knife, you would have immediately assumed Ray's dead.
Well, that's what happens
after.
in the first movie. The Scream 2, not the first movie, but that's what happens in Scream 2. Omar Epps' character puts his ear to the bathroom stall, gets stabbed in the ear with a knife. In this movie, they make fun of it. They use a penis.
So Scream 2 came out before this movie?
Yeah. So Scream 1 was made in 96. Scream 2 was made in 97. Right. They went back to back.
That's right. Yeah, crazy.
What are you doing? I didn't realize that.
So here's what we're gonna do with the Lefroy. This is our nice little twist. This is our Kaiser Sose. Oh. So you're gonna take your bar spoon. You're gonna take the Lefroy. You're just gonna put a bar spoon of this, and you're not gonna drop it in there. You're gonna lower it down. There's a little bit more on the bar spoon. I'm being honest. You're just gonna let it rest right on top as much as possible. That is not exactly what I did. Do as I say, not as I do. Cut to a clip, I guess.
Let's cut to a clip.
That was the illest rhyme I ever seen, Sarah!
All right, there it is. I did the bar spoon.
And so what we have here, the cocktail that you and I have just created, Money. Do you mind if I call you Money, by the way? I didn't really ask. I just started calling you Money.
I actually love it. When my friends call me Money, it's a money shot right there. I'll tell you what.
I kind of felt like I couldn't go wrong with that, but polite to confirm. So what we have created here, cheers to you with this.
Cheers.
I call this the Gale Hailstorm. Is that's not the full name. This cocktail has a long name.
Okay.
Gale Hailstorm is Kobayashi.
Let's cheers.
Cheers.
Pink. All right.
So Gale is my MVP, but this also ties into a theory.
So okay, that's so good.
Theory. It's pretty good, yeah.
Talk to me, man. That is good right there.
That the Old Fitz works really great in this. I'm really happy about that. I hadn't tried it with this. I tried it with the makers.
It's like an interesting twist on an old fashioned.
Yeah. Because it's it's not too far off from that. Like your curacao is kind of operating as your sweet note. But it's very orangey, right? The orange
Very
bitters,
orange
the
forward.
orange
Yeah.
crisco. It's got a lot of that orange. So like essentially what you get, hello mushmouth, is you get the wheat notes, the spice of that, along with kind of like, especially with the old Fitz, like that deep syrupy, molassesy, kind of brown sugary sweet notes, and then that orange line that just like
zips through
bottom.
beelines to your mouth. Yeah. Okay, so
and then that float of the Lafroig 10 on top is just a little bit of smoke, a little bit of peat, little funk. Yeah, it's great. I think this is a nice drink.
So you
and
said
that one I had made but so yeah. So my theory here, it ties into. There's a little bit of a theory around Doofy's position in this movie in general.
Okay.
Would you find it incredibly, I don't know what the word is, unbelievable, I guess, to think that perhaps in that first scene where Gale and Doofy meet one another, they're already in cahoots. They already have a plan. They already know what they're doing. They're already, essentially a crime couple. Like I think Doofy and Gale in this movie are essentially Bonnie and Clyde. I mean, if you just look at Doofy's character alone for a minute, let's focus on Doofy. We're going to rabbit hole on this for just a minute. The presumption suggested for Doofy's character is that this is a person who, for who knows how long, has been essentially masquerading. The suggested thing that you have to believe is that he's been putting on this show for as long as anyone has been aware of, maybe, right? Like he has this whole other personality that's only revealed in the last moments. Now here again, I understand and I agree that I think the kind of the spirit of the movie is like turn your brain off and don't think about this stuff. But that's not what we're doing here right now. What we're doing is I've built a cocktail around this idea that Gale is sort of
the mastermind,
potentially the mastermind behind the whole thing, right? If you go back and you look, switching over to Gale's perspective now, at no point in this movie, aside from her interaction with Doofy, is she anything but shitty, like a hollering bitch at people. Like she's rude and mean to everybody she encounters. The sheriff, I think it's the sheriff at one point in a PR conference about the killings and all this, gets her name wrong. He calls her Miss Thunderstorm.
Yes, Miss Thunderstorm.
Right?
Yes,
like,
yes.
She's not a respected news person. She's like a news person for a trash rag that nobody wants to pay attention to. And I think she's expressing a sentiment of like, I'm tired of this and I can't wait to get out of here. And so what I'm suggesting is that that's what's going on kind of behind the scenes and like underlying the rest of this plot, right? She also has a faked death scene. Like she has a death scene in this movie, but you don't actually see her getting killed. You just see her getting chased down by the killer. You know, she's filming a girl in the makeout point or whatever it is, and the girl gets killed right in front of her, and she's like calling for Gale's help, and Gale's like, "No, it's sweeps week. I can't help you.
We've got to film this, yeah."
And so, but then she gets chased. And, and kind of in a similar way to Ray's death, the assumption what's suggested is that she has met her end, right? And then come to find out at the very end of the movie again, no, she's not dead. She's driving the car that Doofy gets into to get away. And so my whole theory here is that not only does Gale know what's going on from the get-go, and she's got a plan in place with Doofy, I think it's possible even that Doofy is not Doofy, and that part's less thought out on my part, to be honest with you. But I think perhaps, and I did find a little bit of an interview online with the guy that plays Doofy. I forget the guy's name off the top of my head.
I'll look it up. Keep talking.
Thank you. And he says, in his mind, Doofy was the killer's first victim. He says that in his mind, Doofy was offed by the killer before Drew. And so then the killer steps into the role of Doofy as a way to blend in and get the dirt on this. There's some things that don't add up about that, like being, fully kind of transparent about how well I've thought this through. Like
Dave Sheridan.
Thank you, Dave Sheridan. Yeah, like he talks about his idea of Doofy as being he plays the killer. Doofy was the killer's first victim. He then stepped into the role of Doofy, right? But there's all these like little hints along the way that kind of back that up, right? Like early on when he meets Gail, he says something to like Gail says something to the effect of like, you look too old to be a teenager or whatever. And he says like, no, ma'am, I'm 25. But then he
I'm
also
this many.
says,
No, I'm this many.
and yeah, he says 25. But Buffy, his sister, calls him out as her younger brother. So like, you know what I mean? Like the timelines of how old Buffy thinks he is versus how old he tells Gale that he is. There's a slippage there. Like there's something not quite right. It gives me the impression that there's something else going on. I mean, she also really, really willingly jumps into bed with this dude that is like drooling all over himself. And like, yeah, maybe she just wants to scoop. Maybe she just wants to get in and get the details that, you know, nobody else is going to give her. Or, you know, she's kind of just like showing her hand a little bit in a scene where what's actually happening is she knows that this is not this person's sort of real persona. And she's taking advantage and kind of playing into the hand and getting a little bit of strange on the side. And, you know, so there's things like that. There's the fake death scene. Showing up in the car is, you know, for me, showing up in the car at the end is kind of the smoking gun. Like she's very clearly in on it at that point, but there had to have been some kind of being brought up to speed with what's going on that happened off screen.
I think
somewhere
it's
in there.
I honestly think it's way more simpler than this. I think they slept together that first time. I think that first time that they meet, it's all genuine. It's all good. I do think though he let her in on the plan, right? And it was like, oh hey, actually, I'm the killer, and here's what I'll do. I'll tell you where I'm going to be killing and where I'm going to be going, right? So why is she at Lover's Lane? You know, for no good reason. Like, oh, I'm over here at Lover's Lane, and all of a sudden the killer goes there, and then the killer doesn't kill. He kills Kenny, but not her. You know, like,
but I think it's suggested that he does kill her, right? Like that's the whole Blair Witch.
It's not like in that scene in the Blair Witch. If we go back to it, Heather's just being chased, and she has the camera, but she doesn't die in that scene. She's just really, really scared in that scene. And that's why it was so funny, because she's doing this confession thing. She's like, not sure. And that's why it was funny when all the fucking, I remember the gag of the fucking boogers just coming out of her nose for no good reason.
It's a in Scary Movie. It's beyond a slight drip. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's sound effects to it. Like
the faucet is broken. The faucet is broken in that scene. Like sure.
Yeah, they hired a Foley artist to come in and do like running water noise over this CG effect of steady flow of liquid coming out of her face.
A lot of flow. A lot of people are saying it wasn't a flow. I told, but yeah, I think that he brought her. I think he brought her in and was just like, yo, you want to live or not? Do you want to have a successful career or not? Like, we can keep sleeping together, you know, just let me pretend like.
Yeah. The only part of this whole scheme, this whole theory, like there's something really alluring to me about this theory. I'm not going to let it go, but I have to admit, even if you just take the movie at face value, the motivation for him killing any of these people isn't ever really fleshed out, right? Like it's not really ever divulged. It's maybe hinted at, like maybe he's, you know, but maybe he's tired of people treating him like they do. They treat him like he's kind of this like, you know, incapable oaf, like this doofus, you know what I mean? Which, by the way, I loved during that final scene where they're in the sheriff's office and she drops the mug, a la Usual Suspects, and it shatters. There's a fish flopping around the ground.
Right.
Did she have a fish in her coffee? Is that where?
The answer is yes. Yeah.
I think so. There again, where she got her coffee from, I don't know. It speaks to her character.
Doofus Porcelain was the name of the company, you know?
Yes, exactly.
But I think
right
to your
there,
point, you have to remember that what's his name? Bobby says we're literally copycatting a killer that already exists. So now the point of the movie is to go through it and rewatch it and be like, well, who is the killer killing? Like, who is Doofy killing?
Right.
And who is potentially these guys? Who are they killing?
Right. And that's I tried to piece this all together. I think the only people that Bobby and Ray killed are effectively themselves. Well, really, Ray kills Bobby, and then Ray gets killed by the killer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it. I think they're just stepping in at that point and being copycats. I think everybody else, honestly, I will say this was one of my other highlights. The only other person that wasn't killed by the killer is Brenda. Brenda gets killed by the other patrons in the movie theater. The killer never actually kills Brenda.
He tries to. He's
definitely there to do the job, and he's brandishing his weapon. But like, I think it's a little old lady, or like somebody grabs the knife out of his hand and does the first knife stab into Brenda, and then everybody else just like jumps on board.
That's for sure. That for sure happens. I think they killed Greg though, and I think it's set off by the obvious point where Bobby's like, "I'm going to step away for a second," and Greg's like, "Okay, come back." Greg dies, and then obviously there's another killer cleaning up the thing. We don't know where Ray is at the moment. Like right now, he's not. Yeah, he's supposed to be with Brenda, but we actually don't know between the time that he was pretending she was a football player in pads in his bed, and then when they went to the movies, we don't know where Ray is at that point. I think in that moment, I think that's a Ray and Bobby kill right then and there. And I think that might be their only one in the movie, quite honestly.
Is there anything from a motivational standpoint? Like, why would they want to kill Craig versus?
Because they literally told Sydney they're already copycatting a killer that already exists, so they could just blame it on somebody else. That means for me that the first kill is done by Doofy. So they see a kill opportunity and they're like, oh, fuck it. We'll just start killing our friends. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? But incidentally, when Ray goes to the movies, he gets killed by the actual killer. And Brenda almost gets killed by the actual killer. And it's so much at a standpoint where you have to like look at a little bit of clues, because I think it's very easy to think in the moment, oh, the killer did attack Bobby because he was at the party, because he was smoking with Shorty, right? Like that's absolutely thinkable. But Shorty's like, no, the killer's down there. He killed people. He's down there. So then you know, okay, he's not upstairs. That wasn't him. Right. So like, you know that at any point in time, there's two killers operating within any space. It does make sense that he does kill the first person, but like not Craig. Like I know Doofy knows about the killing and whatever, but like I think that they tried to kill Craig to blame it on whoever the original killer was.
Wasn't it? Yeah, because you make a really good point. Because actually, that's something that stuck out in my head when I was rewatching it again today. Is Bobby references the killing of Craig and Brenda to Cindy? She's like, they're dead, and like, of course, it doesn't make any sense that she would know. But it doesn't necessarily make any sense that Bobby would know that.
Right.
So is it feasible then that between Bobby and Ray, they killed Brenda? Not Brenda. They killed between Bobby and Ray that they killed Craig and Buffy. I got there. Is it feasible that they killed Buffy as well?
Possibly. You know, I think it is very, very, very possible that they could have killed Buffy too.
Because if nobody else knew, right? Like I think potentially Cindy's role in this is kind of the half-wit sort of what's the word I want? There's a word back from English lit that I can't think of at the moment, where it's the kind of character.
Final.
No, it's the kind of character that is like it's the character who kind of plays the role of the audience, where like the audience knows what this character knows. So if we assume that to be true, like we know that Craig and Brenda have been killed, but Cindy as kind of this proxy for what the audience is aware of. Maybe it's not the audience. Maybe Cindy's kind of the proxy for the broader population, right? Like if it's not public knowledge yet that Craig and Buffy have been killed, the fact that Bobby has that information suggests that Bobby had a hand in it.
Yes. That makes sense to me at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
I thought at one point I could narrow down the killer because I'm like, oh, the killer sometimes uses a hook and sometimes he uses a knife. And I'm like, oh, if it's a knife, it's definitely Bobby and fucking Ray. But like, there's some points where he does genuinely use a knife and you're like, ooh, that's okay. We've got to reach. So but I do think for sure they killed Craig. I do think that much.
I mean, there is.
Let's cut to a clip.
So what are the murder weapons? What are all the murder weapons, right?
A hook and a knife.
Drew in the beginning is killed with a knife.
Yes. Well, right? Yeah, with a knife. Yeah, I was going to say technically by her parents, but yes, with a knife.
She wasn't finished off by her parents, although I think her father was finished off by her mother.
You're waiting for that one. That was a good one.
It's not even what I had in my notes. I had a reference to Dennis Rodman in my notes.
You mean the boyfriend being black and he'll kick your ass?
No, because
he dated Carmen Electra.
I was calling Carmen Electra's movie dad's penis Dennis Rodman. I was his what was that? I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna read it verbatim what I wrote in my notes.
Okay.
I feel like that's the funniest way to do this right now. Mommy's brushing her tonsils with Daddy's Dennis Rodman. That's what I wrote in my notes.
Okay. Interesting.
I'm a poet. I don't know. Anyways, moving on.
Did you hear something?
No, I didn't hear anything.
So that was the first kill. And if we assume that kill was done by Doofy.
Yeah,
with a knife. But then does that mean that's so confusing.
It is. He uses two weapons in the movie. He uses two weapons. The hook
I wanted to try and understand, like, is there a pattern here? Like, is the hook one killer and the knife is a different killer?
That's what I thought at one point, but then I went back to rewatch the kills and I'm like, no, this killer uses different weapons on different people, because I definitely think the person who attacked Sydney, that was the killer. He was using a hook. All right.
Yeah.
But he kills the first person with a knife, right? Like,
right.
So it's so tough, because that's where I was like, okay, well then the killer who's hunting down the kids at Lover's Lane, he uses a knife. I think that was Dewey though, or Doofy. I definitely think that was Doofy. Right. And I think he gave the heads up to Gail to be like, hey, come here if you want a hot news clip, but also I'm gonna be here killing people. But he uses a knife in that scene. So it's very tough to try just identify it with a weapon. That's the tough part.
I'm gonna add this to my lows. I'm gonna add to my list of lows for this movie. Inconsistent killer weapon usage.
I don't like that. He's like, I don't like it.
No.
I need some more consistency.
This is, we live in the wow. I don't know what I do.
We live in the wow. There. We do live in the wow.
We live in a post J.J. Abrams Easter egg type of world cinematically. And I feel like that's having a hard time in my brain reconciling the facts with what I want to be true. Like, I want to be there's like I want to be a clear through line of like, Killer A does one thing, Killer B does another thing. That's not how the Wayans brothers wrote
That's
it.
that's not how they do things.
Oh my God, we hit a boot.
They just make it a little bit more complicated. So, but that was your MVP though. Gale Hailstorm was your MVP for this movie.
Gale Hailstorm. Cheri Terry is a badass. I really enjoyed her in the movie straight along. And then to feel like by the end of like my third or fourth watch through, there's something else happening here that isn't sitting right. Like I told you, Blake, not Money. I told you, Blake, at one point, I'm going to try to convince you that this movie is a parody of Usual Suspects start to finish.
You did tell me that.
And I kind of meant it as a joke, but that was before I realized this other thing was happening. I still don't really feel like that's legitimate, but I feel like it's closer than I thought it was. You know what I mean?
There's some fuel for the fire. I'll tell you that.
There's other things happening in this movie that are kind of unexplained, and yeah, I don't know. They're brain tickling. There's brain ticklers happening in here.
A lot of brain ticklers.
A lot of best
brains. A lot of ticklers.
Wow. My Trump impersonation just turned into a different thing, and I don't know what it was. We don't have to go with that. It's fine. But the point is, I still, yes, Gale Hailstorm is Kobayashi. She's such a cutthroat. I mean, the way she treats that cameraman is dirty.
It's fucking hilarious.
It is one of the highlights of the movie for me, bar none.
Let's cut to a clip of Gale being mean to the cameraman. Let's cut to a clip.
Please.
This little piggy went to the market, all right? This little piggy stayed home. Now, this little piggy doesn't roll the goddamn camera. I'm gonna put my foot up his fucking ass.
Dude, that scene's hilarious when she's like, why do you step? Don't step on my shoes. And she's like, why? Because Gale wears Prada shoes.
Yep. And then she gets up, like she gets trampled, and she gets up. And she's like, "Who groped me?
Who touched my boob?" It was so juicy and tender.
She like wails at him. Shut up! It's just such a like, oh man, I'm in love with Cheri Terry as a comedic actor.
Cheri Terry as a comedic actress is hilarious.
She's wonderful. Cheri Terry, come on the podcast. We'll talk about whatever we want to talk about.
We'll drink some whiskey and have a fun time.
Drink some whiskey. That'll be fun.
Anyways, my MVP for this movie, I knew who it was gonna be, but I can't do it anymore. So he's my runner-up. Doofy is my runner-up. He was gonna be my MVP, but he's my runner-up. Only because the more and more I watch this movie, I'm like, I know who my MVP is. It's Ray. Ray is my MVP for this movie. Ray.
Wait, so why couldn't you do Ray anymore?
I'm doing Ray now. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, I was
saying Doofy earlier was my MVP. He moved down to runner up. Ray is my MVP for this movie just because of all the silly antics. It's sort of the running theme of his joke of like, he's doing gay stuff. That's silly. Like, that's stupid. He's gay. And then by the end, he's like, no, I like the club. It played good music. Like, no, I like that music. It's everything that you thought, and you're like, I've been gaslit the whole movie. I've been gaslit. Y'all gaslit me.
Absolutely.
The whole movie.
He's poetically ironic in this movie. It's great because he spends the whole movie suggesting to the other characters and to the audience that he's this like, kind of closeted gay guy.
Yeah.
And in reality, in comparison to the rest of the characters, pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
The Gale Hailstorm is Kobayashi. I don't know if you know this. It's quite a punchy drink. There's a lot of alcohol kick in this drink.
A lot of kick, but it's been kicked. I've been kicked it.
Kicked it. Wow. Well done, sir.
Kick the shit out of it.
But here's the ironic part, right? Ray kind of plays a straight man, like from a comedic perspective, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about comedic straight man. He plays it straight. He plays it, and like that's so funny to me. Like that
he doesn't lean into the silliness of it. Like he's just like, no, like this is what I do. Like, yeah, I touch your butt sometimes. Yeah, I put on It's Raining Men, but it's like that's what's on my Spotify. Like that's normal.
Absolutely.
Like
he has over the top moments, but he's not.
He doesn't lean into. He doesn't like lean into it. It's just like that's a thing that I do, and it's just like that's normal.
Like, Shorty plays the character the character of Shorty is played at an 11.
Yeah.
Every time.
Marlon Wayans does it at an 11.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And he does a great job with that. Even in like the post credits, just like it's barely post credits, but there's a barely post credits scene where he's so over the top Shorty, and it's fantastic. But like that's him throughout. There's no character development for Shorty, and there doesn't need to be. That's fine.
No, yeah.
Ray, you get waves, you get ebbs and flows. I'm with you. I think that's a good MVP.
He's my MVP for this movie. He's with the story, he brings the comedy, and then by the end, you're like, this guy's obviously about to say that he's gay, and then he's like, I'm not gay. And then the line that I'll cut to it right now, but the line where he's like,
The Wayans Brothers was a good show, man. It was a good ass show, and we didn't even get a final episode.
Like that whole bit right there, where he talks about the Wayne show and stabbing the homie.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
It's absolutely true. They never got an ending to the Wayne's show. That was sad.
Damn shame.
That's a damn shame. So for all those reasons, Shawn Wayans, Ray in this movie is my MVP of this movie. You know what we just did, Jim? We just killed an episode of Whiskey and a Mystery, my friend. That's what we just did. We would you say we killed it?
I think we killed it. I think that's what happened.
It.
We murdered it. We eviscerated it. It broke its own legs. In what's the word I want? I can't think of the words.
What are we waiting for? What are we waiting for? Let's cut to that clip. Clearly a ripoff of I Know What You Did Last Summer in the best of ways.
Can I say really quick, like there's so many scenes in this movie. Like I've seen Scream a hell of a lot more than I've seen I Know What I Did Last Summer. Going back and watching and talking with ChatGPT about the crossovers, there's so many references in this movie that reference I Know What You Did Last Summer that I didn't pick up on myself. that I had to be told were references. Like that one just there now, like and like also what is it? The pageant scene.
The pageant scene with Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's clearly a reference.
No idea. Like I'm going back in my head and I'm like, yeah, I think probably I saw Scream 4 or 5 times, I guess, because I have more memory of that movie, and I must not have seen I Know What You Did Last Summer more than once because I have almost no memory of that movie whatsoever. And so
I think we need to have me, you, and the homies from Barrel Hunters. We need to have a horror movie night. Put on the movies in the background. Let's have some food. Let's have some whiskey, but just watch the movie in the background.
That sounds
and
fun.
that way we can just like be like, remember that scene? And you'd be like, oh, dude, yeah. That scene right there. That's what they're doing.
Sounds like an action-packed, story-filled, rip-roaring good time.
It sounds like I just voluntold the homies from Barrel Hunters, Eddie and Ryan,
for sure.
what we're going to be doing in a few weeks. So stay tuned for that out there. Stay tuned for that. We're going to record it. We've got to have some content out of that somehow. But Jim, this has been tremendous having you on, man. Thank you so much for taking some time, having an amazing whiskey. You know, I will say this: if somebody's into Scotch, that's a Scotch I'm going to introduce to people. I'm not a Scotch guy. But if Nerds at Night needed to approve a Scotch for people to drink, I think they're really going to like that one. I really enjoyed this drink that you brought. It's a very fantastical twist on an old fashioned, which is my favorite drink. I really like what was going on. I really like the weededness. I really like the citrus that came through. So what a great drink selection that you brought on, and what a good twist for an expert pick. Let people know, though, Jim, where they can find you if they want some more good whiskey picks, good drink picks. Go ahead, take over my show. You know how this goes. You've tuned in.
You got it. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube at Jim Drinks. I do a lot of discussion around bourbons I like, whiskeys I find. I will be doing more cocktail things. I'm about to be doing a very big knockdown, drag out slobber knocker of a whiskey blind tasting / just like a bracket style blind tasting and all that. That'll be a lot of fun. So yeah, tune into Jim Drinks to find that stuff. I'm also on Instagram I don't do as much Instagram as I do YouTube stuff in theory, but Instagram's a good way to connect with the peeps.
Is that Jim Drinks as well?
No, that's a little different. My social media is not as
direct,
streamlined as I'd like. So my Instagram is I guess I'm James. So I guess
I'm Jim.
I guess I'm Jim. Thank you.
Yeah,
I don't even know.
I tagged you this week. I think it's I guess I'm Jim.
Thank you for correcting me on my own social media. I appreciate it. I feel like I should know these things. There's shame happening, but it's fine.
It's okay. The whiskey doesn't let you remember the shame. I'll be honest with you. Everybody go follow Jim and go check out the video if you haven't already of us reviewing a 20-year rare character whiskey. That's a whiskey pick for every ranch, wine, and spirits. What a great place. If you're in Austin, Texas, go check out that place. Tell Nickel that Jim or Money Blake sent you, or both of us sent you. Yeah. He's gonna make sure you're well taken care of. He always does. He does a good job. That whiskey is dropping in November, I believe is what he said, right? November, yep. That pick is coming out. Stay tuned for that if you're a rare character drinker. While you're on all the social mediums following Jim, following Avery Ranch, feel free to follow me, Money Blake, whether Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. You could follow Nerds at Night if you're not doing it already. If you've been tuning in and you haven't clicked like, commented, or subscribed, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but I hope you're going to change it right in this moment. So go ahead and click like. Go ahead and shoot a comment for a whiskey that you think matches with this movie. And go ahead and click subscribe if you're not already doing that. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your favorite lines, favorite comments from this movie, favorite character, anything from this movie, because this movie is so memorable. But I want to thank you for tuning in for this whole episode. I hope you got some good whiskey knowledge, some good movie knowledge. And like I always say, whether it's morning, evening, afternoon, whatever time you're listening to this, I do appreciate you. And until the next case, I will see you. Peace.
Thanks, Blake.